Bonjour, good afternoon, welcome. It is with tremendous pleasure that I stand here now to welcome everyone to the Institute for the Study of International Development's 2018 conference. Welcome, distinguished speakers from the four corners of the world. Bienvenue, distinguished guests. Son Excellence, Madame la Première Ministre Aminata Touré de République du Sénégal, l'Honorable Marie-Claude Bibeau, Ministre du Développement international et de la Francophonie du Canada, Dr. Maryse Lasson, Directrice scientifique, Fonds de recherche du Québec Nature et Technologie, and Dr. Antonia Maioni, Dean of Arts at McGill University. Welcome, students and faculty. Welcome, members of the public. Each year at ISID, we choose a theme for our conference. About this time last year, we decided that the 2018 conference should focus on the important gender issues in international development, building on a long-standing tradition and strength at the Institute and a recent partnership with the International Development Research Center on the promotion and dissemination of research outputs from its programs in growth and economic opportunities for women, funded by the UK DFID and the Hewlett Foundation. We felt that a conference on women's empowerment was most timely. In fact, this timeliness of focus was confirmed a few months later with the Canadian government's announcement of its feminist international assistance policy. So why women's empowerment? In the very highly unlikely case that you haven't followed events around last week's International Women's Day, this week's UN Commission on the Status of Women, followed the recent Me Too or Ni Una Menos movement sweeping the globe from popular neighborhoods of Buenos Aires, Lima, to the boardrooms of Hollywood executives, humanitarian agencies, then surely you must at least know of the considerable gender gaps that still exist between men's and women's wages, opportunities, educational outcomes, voice, participation in the political process, and of course, unfortunately, that violence against women continues to threaten lives. Indeed, this is despite remarkable and unprecedented improvements in women's rights, despite tremendous efforts from policymakers, practitioners, and civil society, and especially of women, to redress and considerably narrow these inequalities, globally and over the last few decades. For those of you who do not know ISID very well, we are a multidisciplinary institute housed in the Faculty of Arts with teaching, research, and outreach mandates. We are responsible for 3 undergraduate programs: Latin American and Caribbean Studies, African Studies, and International Development Studies. The strong interest by our students and future leaders in exploring international development is witnessed by the fact that over 1,300 students are currently registered in our International Development Studies programs. At ISID, our teaching, research, and outreach activities are informed by real-world problems, and we strive to contribute to a strong and rigorous evidence base for maximizing the impact that research and teaching can have on development issues that we all care about very deeply, such as women's empowerment in developing countries. I am also pleased to announce the launch of new research to practice labs here at ISID, one on women empowerment and development, and another one on global governance. The websites will be featured in the background over the course of the next couple of days, and so we hope that you'll take notes and also contact us about getting involved. So we have designed our conference to reflect our research to practice vision here at ISID, to bring together many different stakeholders to push this very important agenda forward. As you all know, we are indeed proof positive practitioners and scholars cannot and should not work in silos. For this reason, we have 2 keynotes. We have a policy keynote, which will be delivered by the Honorable Marie-Claude Bibeau, and we have an academic keynote, which will be delivered by none other than Professor Naila Kabir of the London School of Economics. Our panels include internationally recognized experts from academia and major players such as the World Bank, International Food Policy Research Institute, Center for Global Development, and the UN Foundation, and the Ag Account Foundation, to name a few. We have representatives from Global Affairs Canada, from IDRC, Son Excellence Dr. Touré, former Prime Minister of Senegal, who has been a very long-standing leader in advancing the rights and status of women in Senegal, but in fact around the world. And my sincere hope as host, as ISID director, and as a researcher is that we can use the next day and a half to really push this agenda forward. So I'll put 3 questions. What are the main research priorities today? What sorts of evidence can we as scholars build to best inform the world of policy and practice? And what are the next steps forward to build on this very impressive momentum to bring about women's and girls' empowerment around the world and to speed up even more this narrowing of the gender gap? Before I turn the mic to Professor Catherine Liu, ISID's Associate Director, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, IDRC, Hewlett Foundation, DFID, Global Affairs Canada. Your generous support has, in particular, helped us bring many of our distinguished speakers here today to a very snowy Montreal, but less snowy than last year. I believe we have quite a few delegates from IDRC, from Global Affairs Canada, and I think also from the British Consulate, so thank you very much for being here. I would like to thank Ariane Dahan at IDRC and Carrie Max from Global Affairs Canada for being great partners and great liaisons. It has been a pleasure working with both of you and your institutions to consolidate and move forward with this very meaningful discussion on a very important topic. I would also like to thank the numerous student volunteers and rapporteurs who are in the room today. These rapporteurs will be following our discussions closely, and we will be making a report available as soon as it is ready. Which reminds me to remind you that our conference is also being live webcast as we speak, and we encourage you to do that social media thing. There's a hashtag here, Women Empowerment McGill, so please feel free to do that social media thing. ISID staff deserve especially warm thanks. Ian Blair, Shell Ramzahai, and Avril Rios deserve a special thanks for working hard to make sure that this conference is a real success. And I would like to express my most heartfelt gratitude to my conference co-organizers, Catherine Liu, Franck Grimard, Manuel Balan, and especially to Kate Grantham in the back there, without whose tireless efforts this event would not take place. Thank you all very much. I owe you an incredible debt of gratitude. And finally, I would like to thank our keynote speakers, expert panelists, session chairs for being here and part of a very important event. So please join me in opening this conference.
Thank you very much for coming to ISID's annual conference on unpacking women's empowerment. Since the director of ISID has already thanked everyone who should be thanked, I don't think I really have very much else to say in terms of thanks. But welcome to all of you and distinguished guests. I'm delighted to be just a small contribution to this conference that aims to bring together researchers, practitioners, and policymakers to study the subject of women's empowerment in contemporary global social and political conditions. And I'm really looking forward to how the various people we've gathered who have diverse areas of expertise, how you will be able to help us illuminate how we should unpack the concept of and also practices of women's empowerment in social, economic, and political terms. Now, one promise, I think, of this conference that can be gleaned from the organizational structure of the panels can be summed up by a quotation from Virginia Woolf, who wrote in 1938, "The public and private worlds are inseparably connected. The tyrannies and servilities of the one are the tyrannies and servilities of the other." This conference aims to analyze the causes and conditions of women's servility and emancipation within the household, the paradigmatic private sphere, as well as in civil society, including the market, and of course in the political structures of state and society at domestic, global, and transnational levels. Now, given the interconnectedness of these domains and levels, we hope that this intense 1.5-day conference will help us to discover some commonalities as well as differences between the mechanisms of empowerment and disempowerment in these various domains and levels. And in putting together this conference with your common efforts, ISID hopes that we can all contribute to formulating evidence-based, explanatory, and normative theories that can help us to move forward in revising existing institutions and practices, and perhaps also in seeking to develop new discourses, institutions, and processes for addressing what is one of the most fundamental challenges of international development in the 21st century. With that, I would like to now call on Dean Antonia Maioni to introduce the first keynote address.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour à tous, et merci d'être ici en si grand nombre. Welcome to McGill, et bienvenue à Montréal. Mon nom est Antonia Maioni. Je suis la doyenne de la Faculté des Arts. My name is Antonia Maioni, and I'm very happy to greet you here as the Dean of the Faculty of Arts. Bienvenue à cette conférence. welcome to the Institute for the Study of International Development's annual conference. Je sais que normalement, les félicitations, on les donne à la fin, mais j'ai comme l'impression, le sentiment que cette conférence sera un très, très grand succès. Et j'aimerais, pour cette raison, vous féliciter tout au début et surtout au travail acharné et the dedication of the director, Professor Sonia Laszlo. Thank you very much. It's a great success. En fait, mon rôle est un rôle d'honneur aujourd'hui parce que c'est vraiment un honneur pour moi d'offrir un bienvenue tout spécial à notre conférencière qui va en fait inaugurer la conférence, l'honorable Marie-Claude Bibeau, qui est membre du Parlement de Compton-Stanstead. Et pour ceux d'entre vous qui sont du coin, vous savez que cette région est parmi les plus belles du Québec. The Honourable Marie-Claude Bibeau was elected as the Member of Parliament for Compton-Stanstead in October 2015 and was, almost immediately I would say, chosen and appointed as Minister in the Cabinet of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as Minister of International Development and la Francophonie. Minister Bibeau has a bachelor's degree in economics, as well as a graduate diploma in environmental management from one of our sister institutions here in Quebec, l'Université de Sherbrooke. Before entering politics, she worked for the Canadian International Development Agency, and she is a woman with a wealth of experience after having served in a number of postings in Ottawa, in Montreal, Morocco, and Benin. Comme ministre du Développement international et de la Francophonie, la ministre Bibeau a le mandat de reformuler l'aide internationale canadienne pour mieux aider les plus vulnérables peuples du monde et d'appuyer et soutenir le développement des États qui sont encore fragiles. Among her many initiatives, let me signal the most important recent one, which is that Minister Bibeau has launched Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy, also known as FIAP, last June 2017. This policy is a game changer. It is contributing to the international efforts to eradicate global poverty, the promotion of gender equality, and empowering women and girls as the most effective means of reducing extreme poverty and supporting inclusiveness, prosperity, and harmony. And in fact, the title of this conference, I think, derives directly from the efforts on the part of the Government of Canada, and in particular, this policy that was launched by Madame Bibeau. Madame Bibeau, I want you to know that we are very honored to have you here today as a speaker, and that the Institute for the Study of International Development in the Faculty of Arts at McGill University greatly values the importance in engaging many stakeholders involved in making policies like the FIAP work on the ground. And that's why, as Professor Laszlo said, we are so happy that so many people are here from the different walks of life that need to make this happen. This conference, in fact, is a testimony to the mission that the Institute has, and indeed, in many ways, the faculty and the university, to bridge the domains of research to practice and policy by inviting distinguished speakers to leverage all of our resources inside the academy and outside to make real change happen. The discussions today, led by Madame Bibeau's speech, and tomorrow, led by Madame Touré's speech, will allow us to better understand how we can collectively make meaningful progress towards achieving gender equality and women and girls empowerment around the world, and why that hashtag will hopefully outlive this conference as well. That's what I hope.